Hi everyone, I'm Annette, and today's video will be covering the strategies I use to make more money than the average eBay seller. I'm not going over volume today. You'll see that my sell-through rate is very good, but today I'm focused on the average sold price point.
Yay! Flippin' high, agree on me.
Take a look at my most recent sold listings, and then we'll come back and go over some of the strategies. If you're new to my channel, I started selling on eBay in 1999, and I've sold in different capacities. I even had a dedicated account at one time where I sold other people's inventory for a percentage. I did give that up just because I ultimately wanted to be responsible for only my inventory. And I do sell on Poshmark, I sell on Craigslist. All my videos at this point only focus on eBay though. And I rarely source at thrift stores. That's for another video, another time. And you'll notice I rarely sell clothing. Actually, I hate selling clothes. It is, in my world, it is tedious. And I just find, at least for me, I have more returns on clothing. I am addicted to selling hard goods, and you will notice that if you follow my listings. Lastly, I don't know about you, but eBay is the most fun job I have ever had. However, I am strictly profit driven. I make or save every dollar I can. I make no apologies for it. And sometimes people will call me greedy here in the comments, or that I take advantage of people. No and no. I work really hard. I take the risk on the inventory. My customer service is really good, and try to find any eBay seller that isn't trying to make a profit, and they just don't exist. First topic is I keep what I call a wish list. And anytime a buyer, I know what they collect, or anytime they might even ask, hey, if you get any more of these in, can you let me know? It's a simple spreadsheet. I'll just put their username, what they collect, and then notify them when I get something in. It's such a simple sale. You're notifying them, you've built a good rapport, and it's resulted in many extra sales that maybe I wouldn't have had otherwise. And actually, I have a really cool person on my wish list right now, because I discovered she is the wife of a member of a really famous 70s rock band. I happen to be a huge fan. I'm not going to say what she collects. It's really a specific item, but she's bought from me now several times, and it was just totally a thrill. It still is a thrill. So anyway, keep that wish list and make one today. Here's something else I've learned along the way to help me with sales, and that is whenever I have an issue with a buyer, I already don't get a lot of returns. I attribute that to selling hard goods versus clothing. I attribute that to I sell a lot of nostalgia, things that are sentimental for people. People don't tend to return items like that. But whenever I do have an issue, I will ask the buyer, is there any partial refund I can offer you to motivate you to want to keep the item? And often they will say yes. And I had an especially good situation with a buyer not long ago. I sold a rangefinder, and it was a high-end one, a Bushnell one. I had it listed for $200. Ironically, he asked me a lot of questions beforehand to make sure there were no issues, and he was really nice about it. But when he got it, he messaged me and he said, hey, you said there were no issues. It has a big nick on it. And I had indeed missed a nick on the rangefinder. Anyway, I asked him that question, and I asked him what amount might motivate him to keep it. And he actually told me $40. It's much less than I thought he would request. And consider, do you want to deal with the return on an item listed for $200, or would you rather just give a partial refund of $40? I think most people would rather have the partial refund. But anyway, even if a buyer will say to you, well, how much do you think is fair? I never make a suggestion, because I found that almost always their suggestion is going to be less money than I really think it will be. So keep that in mind. You'll be surprised how many buyers would be motivated, but try that next time. Let me know how you do. Topic number 2 is pricing, and it would seem elementary to a lot of sellers, I'm sure, but I'm surprised how many sellers I see that aren't pricing correctly. They often look like they're pulling a price out of a hat. I don't understand that, but there's 2 aspects here. The first one is that I guess you would call it undercutting, but you should at the very least be sorting the sold listings to the lowest price. And if that means that yours to be the lowest is 5 cents less, you're going to price it 5 cents less. It's very simple. The buyers often sort to the lowest price. You're going to get the sale. That to me is a no-brainer. I can't believe more people don't do that. But especially on high volume items, all you have to do is price it maybe a few cents less, but that will be your guaranteed sale above other sellers. And the other one is to be keyed in on more rare items. And I'm going to give you 2 recent examples of sales I had. One was I discovered that I had found pottery that is pretty rare. It's Catalina Island, and this plate actually had 4 chips on it, but I knew it was rare, and I thought, well, it might still sell chips and all. It did, and I looked, and what I could see for the sold listings and what was available was a similar plate, but not quite. So the least expensive plate being listed was $200. And I thought, well, mine might just be that much more rare. I'm going to take the risk. I can always bring the price down. I started at $300, and overnight it sold for $300, chips and all. And lesson learned, start high. You can always bring the price down. And another item I recently sold was a poster. It was a Zodiac poster, 1970s, really cool graphics. And all the posters out there, whether it was current listings or sold listings, had only the one Zodiac sign. And the poster I had sourced had all 12 of the Zodiac signs. And I thought, well, that in my mind makes it much more rare. The least expensive poster out there with the single Zodiac signs was $150 was the listing price. So I priced mine at $200. I let it sit for a bit. It took maybe 2 weeks, I would say, to sell, but it did sell for $200. I guess what I'm saying here is you as a seller should always try to get every last dollar, and that means to start high. You can always bring the price down, but if you have any level of rarity in what you are listing, go for the higher price, and almost always you're going to get that asking price. Here's a question I get all the time. How do you know what will sell? Or how do you know what to pick up at any given estate sale or yard sale? First of all, I have an eye for recognizing rare or unique quality items, special items, but I have learned to have that eye. And in a subsequent video, I will be covering that top tip. It's one of the top tips to help you make more money. And it's actually one of the number one ways you can increase your sold listings price point. So make sure to stay tuned for part 2. And number 3 is I have pivoted to free shipping on all my listings. Some of my older listings still have shipping fees, but I haven't updated them yet. But earlier, I don't know, if I listed something for $40 with $7.99 shipping, now I will list it for $47.99, which makes it free shipping. It doesn't matter. The eBay fees are all the same. And when potential buyers are filtering to free shipping, they're going to find sellers like me who offer free shipping. So I would highly recommend pivoting to that as well. Here's another area where I see even experienced sellers often leaving a lot of money on the table, and that is they're not apparently doing the research to see that the 3 items they just sold for $150 could have been sold as 3 listings for $100 each. I'm not sure why they're not doing that, but you need to learn whether it's advantageous to group things together or you can make more money selling things on their own. And I will often, even if they're smaller sales, like I recently bought a box of brand new makeup and I could have grouped the items together, but the listings are so easy. It's one picture, easy shipping, that I've been selling them singly, and I am making a ton more money selling them on their own, selling them singly. So it's maybe a bit of more for experienced sellers, but the more you research sold listings, you should be able to figure out how is it best to sell this group of items. Do I break up the lot or do I have the edge as a seller by selling them all together? This is one way to distinguish ordinary eBay sellers from ones that do better than most. And that would be, it's really helped me by doing this as well. And that is to keep growing your knowledge base in a way that gets excited about learning new bolos as much as you can. And I will take that a step further and say that, let's say you discover that Jellycat plushies sell really well. Do you know which ones sell the best? Because thousands of these plushies sell on eBay. The bunnies with the floppy ears are the top sellers. You should know, even in any given category, what is the best seller. So keep that in mind. I promise you that if you are dedicated to learning as many bolos as you can, keep researching, your price point is going to increase and your sales will increase. Now we've come to 2 things that I almost never do that most sellers do. I have found it to be a complete waste of my time, at least, and I could better use that time listing more items or just working on more of a part-time basis. The first one would be when I am listing anything, I am not making a flowery description with all this extraneous stuff that takes time to think of and compose. Buyers are looking for having their questions answered. So that's the mode I'm in. When I'm listing something, I want to know that I am answering every potential question a buyer would have. That's the objective, and that is it. The rest of it is a complete waste of your time. The other thing would be that I rarely, if ever, clean anything. If it's a big cleaning project, if I have to polish the silver, I am not going to buy it. Most buyers will want to clean their item themselves. They want to see that it is sterling silver. They don't need it to be clean. If they know it's sterling, the sale will be made. But I have just found that I will disclose that I'll say something like the glasses could use a little cleaning perhaps. It's disclosed, but it's not going to make me any more money by cleaning that item. I would rather spend time doing something else to make more money. Now let's talk about price point, average sold price point. I do get asked a lot, how do you find such good stuff to sell? And what I have learned through the years is to have a threshold. When I'm outsourcing, if I can't list an item for $35 to $40, I will leave it behind. If you see inventory in my store that is less than that, it could be a box lot or a bulk buy I did. If it's a smaller, easy flip, I will list the item. I'm talking about when I'm outsourcing, my threshold is 35 to 40 listed. Then I'll buy and I leave everything else behind. What has happened is my average sold price point has increased. I know that would work for everybody, but let me know if you have a threshold. what you consider to be your goal. And if that's worked for you, I'd love to hear about it. My part 2 video will include other things I've learned along the way to increase my sales. It will focus on learning to have a better eye on identifying the more valuable, better things to sell. Definitely keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.